You're listening to Oilersnation Radio, a member of the Nation network of podcasts and delivered by DoorDash. 1 hour of straight hockey talk with Dan, Rick, Tyler, and Bag Milk starts now.
Oilersnation Radio, episode 192, the first bonus playoff edition. And unfortunately, boys, we're not really starting it off on a great foot here. But we'll get to that. But as we do every week, Bag Milk here, Tyler, Rick, and Dan going to break things down for you. We're going to start off with our delicious debate for our friends at Oodle Noodle. Brand new location open in Fort Saskatchewan. New one in Airdrie. New one in Erin Ridge. Maybe you might even see Tyler if you go there. Maybe.
I do go a lot.
So plan your life accordingly. Go get yourself something to eat. If you don't want to leave the house, watching games, use our friends at DoorDash. Ding dong. Oodle Noodle is available there. Tyler, what are we doing? What we got for a delicious debate today?
I got that and this.
Oh,
Ding dong.
Was that Liam?
Yeah.
Ding dong.
Yeah.
Oodle Noodle.
Tyler,
Yeah, delicious
debate, please, sir.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about the game 1 loss?
Frank is fired up, as you could hear. Probably. I'll start. I think I'm like a 2. I'm like, it's annoying. Don't get me wrong. I was mad last night with the way that game ended. I was mad, but like concerned about the series overall. Not really. I mean, the Oilers had some mistakes, obviously some glaring issues in their own zone. They looked incredibly nervous to me.
Oh yeah.
They looked like they had the jitters going for the first game of the playoffs. The atmosphere at Rogers Place was electric. It was bumping. I know that those of you that were there, we're going to talk about that, but I just think they looked nervous, and ultimately it came down to a horrible mistake by Mike Smith. He was trying to be the hero instead of making a clean play to an outlet, but I'm not worried about it really. So I'm going to say my answer is 2.
I think that's a fair answer. I would go a little bit higher than that. I think I'm at a 4, but I even debated not going that high. Like, you never want to lose on home ice. Like, it's not good to lose home ice advantage after game 1 in the series, right? Not ideal. Everyone understands that. But at the same time, I don't think any of us picked the Oilers in 4, right? No one was like, oh yeah, we're just going to steamroll them and sweep them. Like, you were going to lose games in the series, and they lost a game last night where they made some very clear-cut mistakes. Smith made a big one. Chris Russell made a fairly big one, not, rimming the puck around to no one pretty much. There was a handful of moments where they were trying to break out of their own zone and they just looked like they couldn't do it, and they were making sloppy decisions with the puck. We know exactly what went wrong in that game, and they lost by 1 goal. If they clean it up a little bit and start to push it a little bit more offensively, I'd say, I don't think they'll have much of an issue winning 4 of the next 6 here. So my concern is 4, because you never want to lose in a best of 7 on home ice to open the series and lose that momentum right away, right out of the gates. But at the same time, I still think they're fully capable of winning this series. Just
to qualify my number of 2, like, we're talking about game 1 of a 7-game series, right? So like, yeah, you don't want to lose game 1, but there's a long road to go here. If the boys don't bounce back tomorrow, which is Wednesday, game 2, then my answer escalates quickly. But right now, like, hey, it's game 1. Sucks. Yes, I agree. But like you said, 1 goal loss, some mistakes that can be cleaned up. I think they're going to bounce back. It's not like they got absolutely lit up like Tampa Bay did by Toronto. It was mistakes led to a loss, and you clean those up, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Dan?
I think I would argue if you're anything over a 4 right now, you're probably not a long-term Oilers fan, or you probably haven't been an Oilers fan for too long. I can't remember the last time we won our first game. I know the stat was put out there last night, but in 2006, we lost game 1. In 2017, I was there when we lost to the Sharks.
I was too.
Of course, we lost to the Jets and the Blackhawks as well. So, I mean, when I went into it, when I showed up to the party, I was actually talking to the Sapenkos, and I said, I kind of have a bad feeling about tonight, but I'm okay with it, whether it happens or not, because like you said, Bag Milk, as soon as the crowd got into it, you could just see that the players were trying a little bit harder than they maybe should have been. And, we saw it with Mike Smith personified, that the guys were just a little bit tighter on the sticks than they would want to be. And the nice thing is that Jay Woodcroft is the kind of guy that I would trust to be able to make the adjustments that they need to for game 2. So yeah, no, I'm not, I would say I'm at 1 right now, honestly.
Rick, I'm guessing where you're going to go. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys. It's a 7-game series. It sucks. I was angry last night. not too happy about it right now. But at the same time, I realize that, you're not going to win in 4 straight. So it is what it is. This team, we've seen them lose and bounce back in a really good way. I fully expected that place was, the place was loud last night. I can see why the guys were gripping the sticks a little bit tight. And you just got to simplify the game a little bit. Keep it simple in the playoffs.
I was just going to say, Bag Milk, I do wonder if you played back our episode from the last 2 playoff rounds and we asked something similar of this kind of question, if our answers would be similar or not. I know the fans, I think, is the element that we're missing from the previous explanations. But anyways, I was just laughing.
I think probably like last year, if you asked me after game 1 when they lost to Winnipeg, I probably would have said the same thing. But like I said, depending on what happens tomorrow, game 2, then my number can swing wildly either way. So like if they come out and lay the boots to the Kings in game 2, then all of a sudden my 2's down to 1. You know what I mean? It's
they lost the first 2 against San Jose back in 2006 too. It sucks, but you got to lose 4 before the series is over. So even if they lose tomorrow, obviously you're not going to feel great about it, but doesn't mean anything. The series is over. I
just can't see them losing. Like, because when the Oilers were actually on their game last night, I'm thinking specifically of the second period. They'll be fine. The first period, I'd say 10, 12 minutes, they looked incredibly nervous. They had that kill in there. I think they had 1 or 2 shots on net at that point. To me, they looked like a team that was just kind of like, whoa, shit, this is big. Cause like, I don't know what it was. And we're going to get there. I know that because there's 2 of you at the game, but like for me, just even hearing it through the TV, I'm like, whoa, shit, Rogers Place is bumping right now. And come on, LA also. So last night on the Bcast, we were talking about this a little bit, like how nervous are you or how are you feeling? And then some of the commentary was, I don't understand how LA came into this game not having any nerves. And for me, that was an easy answer. They have no expectations. Nobody even expected for them to make the playoffs at all this year. They're playing casual. So they looked like a team that was playing loose and free last night. But when the Oilers were on their game, like I said, in the second period, they'll be fine.
Yep. It's also easy to go do that on the road too. I think when it's not your fans yelling, it's a different story.
I also think like the nerves, to me, that was evident in like Kyler Yamamoto, that first shift, right? He goes out and takes that penalty. And I'm like, okay, that is a penalty you take when you are so jacked up about the arena that you go out for like your first or second shift. You're like, I got to do something. I got to fuck someone up. I got to get in here. And to me, that's what the Yamamoto penalty was. Like they were, I think a little bit too fired up out of the gates. They didn't start the game particularly well. I think tomorrow, honestly, we see them come out of the gates really hard. I would wager on them scoring first tomorrow.
I also would wager on them tomorrow looking a lot more confident with the puck in their decision making. Like they were trying to do too much last night. And Mike Smith, even after the mistake, Mike Smith said it himself. He was trying to do too much. He didn't take the simple play. Duncan Keith was right there with his fucking stick on the ice. That is something those guys have probably practiced 1,000 times this season. And the heat of the moment, you're trying to make something happen. I bet tomorrow that mistake doesn't happen. Again, this is another thing too, where I love Jay Woodcroft. This guy is going to make adjustments. This isn't Dave Tippett being like, we'll just work harder and battle in there. Like, no, we're going to get some adjustments tomorrow. And I think the team is going to look much more composed, much more calculated, and they're going to be able to even things up.
I think that's really well said. Like this team, again, over the last 2.5 months is one of the best in the NHL. I don't think that just went away because it's the playoffs.
Tyler's having a drink.
Look, it sucked. Yeah, he's choking like I was.
He's choking on. Yeah, somebody's got to choke every week. Dan, you're up next week.
Fuck. Let's talk positives though. So like what parts of that game did you kind of come away from being like, that's something where I think they can maybe build on heading into game 2.
That coast to coast McDavid goal. Can I just say that was unbelievable to watch, because at first I got to admit, I was like, oh, come on, down by 2 going into the first intermission. And then Connor does that. And I was just like, all right, here we go. We're back in the mix, baby. And that's what I had just bet the live bet the comeback right before that. So I was feeling pretty good about it. So if you want to take away a positive, McDavid's coast to coast, we're going to be seeing that one a few times. Second one that stuck out to me, special teams were excellent for the Oilers last night. 2 for 4 on the power play, killed off all 4 of LA's chances on the power play. So the special teams and McDavid's goal stuck out for me. Dan, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think for me, it's the little things like just not getting down. Like they were really aggressive in that last 2 minutes of the first period, and that got rewarded with a goal for that. And that really set the table for the second period. And like you said, Bag Milk, probably the best part of their game being the second period. So I just think that like in the past, this team, you start to get goalied, and Jonathan Quick had a couple of moments last night where you started to question yourself as to whether we were just seeing another one of his great performances. But yeah, this team just kept going, and I feel like if that gaff by Smith had happened in the start of the third period, I don't think we're having this conversation necessarily. I'm guessing the game probably got tied up and we headed into overtime, and then who knows from there. So it just, timing, but yeah, I think their stick-to-itiveness and their ability to keep battling back in that game.
And I think that was the problem too. Like Dan, you nailed it. The errors came at costly moments. I think of the third LA goal. That's a stoppable shot in my opinion, but ultimately it was caused by an odd man rush against in the seconds. It was 1:19 after Yamamoto tied the game. You can't let that. You can't have that go in. And Mike Smith probably should have stopped it, but also the defense, what were you doing? You got a little trigger happy on that one. You were probably getting ready to go. So just clean some of that stuff up. I think Duncan Keith in the second period made a really good point too. Boys, you probably wouldn't have heard it. He's just like, I think we're a little bit too excited right now. I think we need to calm down. We need to slow down. We need to play our game. And for a guy that's been there and done it plenty of times before, I'm going to buy that advice all day.
Yeah, you need some of those guys in the dressing room, right? Calm everybody down. Yep. It kind of puts things back into perspective. Take it one shift at a time. All the cliches. Sometimes you kind of need that. You need to hear it.
Yeah, and that's why I thought it was just worth repeating what Duncan Keith said. It's like, well, yeah, we're too excited. Just calm down. Let's play our game. Like, yes, the atmosphere is bumping in here, and everybody's excited, including the players. But like,
we know what this team is, though. We've seen what they were doing with Manson and Woodcroft for the last 2.5 months. You can't win everything. Like Tyler said there, I'd be pretty surprised if they don't come out tomorrow, guns a-blazing and kind of just steamroll them tomorrow.
One thing I pulled away from that, you mentioned the special teams, but how about Draisaitl and McDavid each drawing a penalty in that game? And you go across the board in the NHL. Over the 4 games, there were a total of 39 power play opportunities. Just power play opportunities. Never mind like times it went down to 4-on-4 or anything like that. And I'm looking at a Scott Burnside tweet who said he has a quote from Commissioner Gary Bettman who said, statistically over the last 10 years, there have actually been more penalties called in the playoffs than in the regular season. The ongoing instruction is call the standard. And as we go on in the playoffs, I wonder if maybe it'll dip, but it's encouraging that at least for round 1, it looks like they're going to call the rule book and they will not shy away from 4 or 5 power plays or even 6 power plays like we saw in some other teams last night.
Well, I was just going to chime in and say the NHL can talk about that kind of stuff, but like what you saw in the Leafs game last night, they handed out 78 penalty minutes in one go because they just handed misconducts out like they were going out of style. So to me, I agree with what he's saying. Like, I don't think that there's as much of a dip. I think the perception is just there because the stakes are higher. But yeah, that Leafs thing was just outrageous to watch.
Well, hey, you know what? That's playoff hockey to me. If you get blown out in the playoffs, the other team just calls prison rules, and that's the way it goes.
But the misconduct's for everyone. Like, let them solve it or not. Like just tossing everyone out. It's going to now extend into game 2. That's to me. It's you let them figure it out in that game 1 situation. But who knows?
Well, and here's one thing too, and I get they're the defending back-to-back champs, but like, do you think the Tampa Bay Lightning are panicking after losing game 1? Yeah. No, they're not. So and I get it, different spot, blah, blah, blah. Don't fucking hit me up. I know, but the Oilers should have the same approach. They shouldn't be panicking after 1 loss. And I think that Zach Hyman just today after practice, he said it right. I don't think we played poorly, but we didn't play at our best either. We'll be a hungry group tomorrow, and I believe they will. Yeah,
like
does that get you excited? I guess excited, man.
Yeah,
I woke up sad. I see things like that, and I get excited for tomorrow again. It feels like Sunday again.
Yeah, and again, like Hyman kind of said, they didn't play poorly, but they also didn't play great, and that's one of my takeaways as well that I have in an article going up at the site. Like fine isn't going to be good enough. You can have games where you're not great in the playoffs. Like, I'm not saying you're going to go 4 rounds and never have a bad night. Like, you will. You'll have below average nights. I think last night was just an average night from the Oilers. And if you want to win in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you can't be average. You can't get outshot at 5-on-5. You can't get outscoring chanced at 5-on-5. You can't not show up and give up the first 7 shots of the game in the first period on home ice. Like, there were, and that's kind of why, like, last night I sent out the tweet that got me just carved from the fan base. But all I said was Smith wasn't good, but he didn't cost them that game. He was fine. You start him in game 2 and don't think twice. Anyone saying anything else is overreacting. People didn't like that take from me.
You're right.
But
you're right.
Well, that's because you're right.
Well, and the point I was trying to make, granted I had like 7 beers, so maybe it didn't come across that cleanly, is they got outscored 4-1 at 5-on-5. You know, if Edmonton dominates possession for that game, if Edmonton puts up 2 or 3 goals at 5-on-5, they win that hockey game. There were other mistakes. And I even got into it with Joaquin Gage, and he said, you know, the goalie is there to bail out the team when they need him. And Mike Smith did bail them out 3 or 4 times in that hockey game, especially early on. And my response to that is, how about the team bails out Mike Smith for once? Because it's not like Mike Smith put that directly on the tape of an LA King player and they shot it into an open net. Edmonton could have gotten the puck back and gotten it out. And if you've listened to this podcast for the last 2 years, I am far from a Mike Smith fan. I wanted that guy on waivers 2 months ago. I'm not sitting here and just like being a homer or like sucking up to Mike Smith for some weird reason, like some people thought I was. Like, the team could have maybe bailed him out. Mike Smith was fine. He made some bad mistakes. The team in front of him was fine, and they made some bad mistakes. That was a team loss, in my opinion.
Well, you win and you lose as a team.
Well, and I said it too this morning, just to staple on to the end of that, Tyler. The time to change Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen and all the goaltending situation has passed. The trade deadline is over. The offseason is in our purview at some point in the distant future, I hope. And to make a panic move like this right now, to move to Mikko Koskinen, then what do you do when he falters? Like, are we gonna go recycle goalies back and forth? It hasn't ever worked for any team. I don't think. They usually end up making one change and that's it. So I don't know, like, after one game to just flip your goalie because of a gaffe from a guy that this happens. Like, are we shocked that Mike Smith made a mistake playing the puck? But we're also excited when he makes great plays playing the puck. So yeah, I'm with you, Tyler. It's not a let's just support Mike Smith because we're blindly supporting the team. Just the reality of the situation is he's the goalie that we have, and we might as well be behind it.
Should the Tampa Bay Lightning start Brian Elliott tomorrow?
I would. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Because Vasilevsky let in all 5 and he's terrible. Again, don't hit us up. We know Smith isn't Vasilevsky. Yeah. Shut up. What we're saying is, like, it's game 1.
Mike Smith statistically down the stretch was 1 or 2 in most categories in the NHL in terms of goalies in the last 2 months.
I still think that the Oilers, like, if they calm down a little bit, it's going to be fine. They were so trigger happy last night. You could tell the mistakes they were making, they weren't normal. Like Tyler, like you said, Kailer Yamamoto tackles a guy in front of the net. You're like, what are you doing, man? But like,
don't do that shit.
He's jacked up. He's ready to go. So just calm down a little bit. Duncan Keith said it best. Relax. They're too excited about everything. Just relax. Woosah.
Tomorrow's going to be fun.
Tomorrow's going to be fun.
Tomorrow's a new day. I'm a bettor. And if you ask me what I'm going to do going into tomorrow, I'm bullish on the Oilers. Am I going to bet them on the puck line tomorrow? You fucking right I am, because I think that kind of night is exactly what guys like Connor and Leon needed. Mike Smith, he's going to be fired up to rebound after that mistake. I just think tomorrow's going to be fun. And I think we're going to be going back to LA with a tied series.
Can we talk about the little Connor McDavid celebration after the goal too? Hand to the ear right by the Kings bench. Sick.
The best. I love fired up Connor.
Yeah.
I love fired up Connor. I also like after Leon scored, he was fired up, chirping. Like, I love that. And we need just to get more guys on board. Like, I thought Nuge didn't have a great game last night. Yes, it had a bad game last night. So there's some guys who, if they step up their level, that's also going to contribute to what goes on tomorrow, which ultimately I believe is going to be a win.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I can't wait for tomorrow.
Dan, what do you think?
Tomorrow is a must win, and I think it is a win. Yeah, just chalk it up. It's I think if of anybody that we're talking about on this Oilers team is going to be fired up for tomorrow, it's Mike Smith. And that's a guy that, I love when he's fiery, and he's fiery with himself, and he's not on other people. It's just himself. So yeah, I fully expect tomorrow to be a great game and an exciting game for us to watch.
It's must win. Obviously not literally, but emotionally, going back to LA down by 2 can't happen. And I don't think it will. I think Woody's going to make the adjustments. I think the boys are going to have a hard practice, or probably had a hard practice today, probably a lot of video meetings and whatever else they do. We'll be fine. I guess that was a little bit surprising for me too, is just the amount of people just being like, oh, we're out. Might as well just start golfing or whatever. Like, I think that was surprising to me. Like, we've been hurt before, and you can tell, right? Was anybody else surprised just by how into the ditch it went after one game?
I mean, in the moment, it's disappointing, and Twitter gives you the ability to just be so reactionary, right? Like, you don't have to wait until the morning when you're talking to your friends or your colleagues or something to be like, how about the game last night? Like, you can just watch Mike Smith make that mistake and instantly be like, great, I hate him. And then tell whoever you want to tell that you hate him on Twitter. Anyways.
A lot of the most vocal people are on the negative side of things anyways when it comes to this. One loss comes up and they just kind of throw in the towel. That's not what the team does. That's not what the players do. I'm not surprised to see that, but they'll all be singing a different tune when the Oilers pull off a victory tomorrow. So
that ain't what we're doing here, because I don't think there's any of us that think this thing is over yet. And
oh God, no.
I fully expect a better effort tomorrow, both in the execution, the details, up and down the board from the Oilers tomorrow. For 90 years and 4 generations, Cornerstone Insurance has been a family and employee-owned business here in Edmonton. They have got all the products you need: auto, residential, commercial, life insurance, anything you require. And I actually just had a cool meeting with Cornerstone last week. They're going to be launching very, very soon a spot where you can get some instant insurance quotes if you need them. So stay tuned to this podcast and Oilersnation.com for further details on that. I do want to talk about some positives, because I find that honestly today I was just cruising Twitter. I'm like, I don't even want to be on Twitter today. It is just a cesspool of just negativity. And I'm not about that, because I still feel good about our chances here. So I'm going to talk about some good news. Boys that were at the game, let's talk Rogers Place, because like I said earlier, I'm watching on TV and all I can think about is that place is bumping. Tyler?
Yeah. So to start, I walked through, before I went into the rink, I walked through that little area in front. I don't know what they're officially calling it.
I believe it's the plaza.
Oh, the plaza. I walked through the plaza and it was bumping. They had 5 food trucks out there. You can buy a beer and just stand outside in the nice weather pregame and have a beer, hang out, yell about the Oilers.
Live music.
Yeah. Live music. It was really, really cool. And then I went inside, and Ford Hall, they expanded Ford Hall. So you can go get a $6 can of beer, which is still expensive, but at least slightly cheaper than inside. They have the cans of Canadian and Coors for $6. So you go have a beer there and then make your way in. There's a reason to actually go down to the game an hour and a half early and just kind of hang out. It's neat.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was a fun atmosphere outside the rink. You kind of expect it as the playoffs. Everyone's got a little more energy than you do a normal game in December, something like that. But I think they did a really good job. Outside the plaza, having the band and all the options out there, drinks, food, whatever, get inside. I tell you this, I miss it being like that.
Yep.
There's just the energy in there. Everyone's wearing orange. Everybody's yelling. You don't get that in regular season games. People like to sit on their hands and be kind of quiet. The place was electric last night. It was loud. It was fun. I really wish we could have got a victory out of it, but dude, that place, when you do the national anthems, when they sing the national anthems like we do, it's something else. I know a lot of players come away and say, you know what, this might be one of the loudest places, or, what about it, whatever the playoffs, whatever they say. It's fun in there, man. It's really fun. I hope anybody gets a chance to get in there.
It seemed like Edmonton was cranking up the BPP last night. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, yeah.
And I posted a video on my Instagram story, and I tweeted about it 8 minutes before the players even came out. I would say 98% of the fans were in their seats. And then they started the little pregame countdown, like 10, 9, and everyone just started going nuts. Like there was a roar in the crowd while this countdown was playing. And then like it goes black, a picture of the cup shows up, everyone goes crazy. Joker and the Thief was the pregame hype up song. So like that starts going, the montage is going. At one point they just like quieted everything and they put Ben Stelter on the screen. And it's the video of him when he was like, play La Bamba, baby. And they like put that up there. Crowd goes nuts. The walk from the tunnel of like they showed Smith walking through the tunnel with the orange lights flashing next to the team. Unreal. Like the organization, I ripped them a good amount for like in-game presentation. They hit a home run grand slam in game 1.
Come on. All I want is to stand there at the dressing room, hear everybody down the hallway. I think that'd be the coolest thing. Walking down that little walk. I liked it when it was in Rexall when you could walk through the fans. I get the negative part of it, but like just standing there as the boys are getting ready. The last guys are grabbing their sticks, putting their buckets on. You're standing there, your heart's beating. It's playoffs. It's loud. You can feel the noise. You can feel the noise in your chest. And then that walk out to the ice. Dude, there's some of those kids that have never heard a building like that before. Never.
Dan, I don't know if you were noticed because you were at the watch party that I want to talk about after. During the anthem, when the crowd kind of took over, they were doing the usual kind of panning the bench, that shot. And Ryan McLeod, you could just kind of see him going like, holy shit, because that place was going bananas.
Yeah, it's, we've watched it, I think, since 2006. Everybody's seen the videos and seen the players' reactions. I love Ilya Brizgalov's reaction back in the day to the fans going crazy. You're right. It was just from being able to watch from the outside looking in, it was sad that we couldn't see some of the video stuff. And I know that's licensing and all that good nonsense, but yeah, glad you guys got to be there and envious of anybody that was in the building that night and hopeful that I get in there soon and that hopefully everybody gets to experience that too. It's something special.
Dan, let's check in on the watch party last night. The Nation crew set up at Beercade on White Ave. We had the Game 1 viewing party. How'd that go?
It was an absolute blast. If you haven't been to Beercade recently, they've done some fine work. We had a couple people visiting to the party that had been with us in Nashville, and they were remarking how much it feels like a Nashville style bar now. Very, very open space and lots of areas for people to hang out and watch the game. Just an absolute blast. There is not a place in that building that you won't have 2 or 3 screens within your peripheral or in your purview. So yeah, just an absolute blast. And the people there we were just having a great time. We got to play a bunch of games against Nation fans and Oilers fans and we just had an absolute blast, and we will be doing it again tomorrow night at Beercade on White.
One thing,
did you play any Mario Kart?
I didn't get into the Mario Kart. I was selling people raffle tickets for Sports Central in the Mario Kart while they were racing. That was good. Hit them up while they were on the race. But yeah, it's hopefully I'll be able to take on some people in that race on Wednesday.
One thing I want to mention too is if you go to the viewing party and you see Dan, we're going to have all kinds of prizes and stuff to give away as well. So it's not just about watching the game and getting together as a crew, which is ultimately a great time. You can win some stuff, and we're going to have more stuff to give away.
Last night, we were even able to give away tickets. I won't say what to, but we were able to give away tickets. So
an event you may be interested in.
Yeah. Even gave away some clothing items that people, spend mucho money on. And
the clothing items,
like long sleeve things.
Yeah,
short sleeve names on them, names of other people that they don't even know.
Names on the back.
Sam Roberts band touring tees, I imagine.
Yes,
Garth Brooks.
Yeah, Garth Brooks is there.
It's Barth Brooks though, not to be confused.
Yeah, so go meet Dan tomorrow. Go have some fun. Maybe challenge him with Mario Kart.
Yes, if you beat me at a game, I'll give you Nation gear.
Beer or gear?
Nation gear. AGLC, you rest assured, Nation gear.
Gear with that's a G. AGLC is a G. Yeah, get on down to Beercade. What time do you guys end up down there, Dan? What time should people show up?
I was there at 6 p.m. So welcome to join me anytime after that.
Game, of course, starts at 8:00. We got 8 p.m. starts all through the first round. So again, if you're not going to the game tomorrow, why not head out to Beercade? See Dan, see the rest of the crew. We're going to have a whole lot going on there as well.
Sorry, I should mention, Bag Milk, a feature that I didn't know about, and Beercade for some reason doesn't advertise openly, and I think they should, is right across the street. There is a dog park, and you can just spend your intermission watching the dogs play in the dog park. It's great.
Hey, you know what? When the Oilers went down by 2 goals yesterday to start off the game, maybe go out there and watch a dog.
A little bit of therapy.
Release everything, the tension. It's good for you. It's good for you. Tyler?
Yep.
If you're going to pick out one big thing that the Oilers have to do tomorrow to make sure that they lock up this series at 1 apiece, what's the biggest thing that stands out for you?
It's the 5-on-5 play for me. Just in both ends, there's things they need to do better. In their own end, cleaner zone exits. Don't make the sloppy passes. Just get crisp, get the puck out of your own end. And when you get into the LA Kings end, you got to capitalize. I know everyone was ready to crown Jonathan Quick as like the second coming of whatever, but I think the Oilers could have done a better job finishing off some of those chances. Quick played good. Yes, I'm not really trying to take a ton away from him, but a lot of people are like, oh, great. We're running someone who was like second coming a Hasek. And I'm like, okay. Jonathan Quick was extremely below average for the last 3 months of the season. The Oilers needed to finish a little bit better and do a better job at generating their own grade A high danger chances. And there's a lot of guys who played a role in that. So in their own end, clean it up. In the other end, get more aggressive, get to the net.
Tack on to that a little bit. I think the Oilers need to get greasy in front of Quick. I know it started to pick up a little bit as the game wore on, but like if you're going to give that guy shots that he can see, he's going to stop them. So the Oilers need to get in his kitchen. They need to hack away and they need to try and bang in some rebounds. They need to get ugly. Yeah. We don't always have to score pretty goals because I'll tell you one thing, watching Smitty bank him in off his face for all those years was just as sexy to me. Dan, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say the exact same thing. There was so many pucks sitting in that 2-foot area in front of the blue paint where the Kings were the first ones on it every time. I'd love to see us get some sticks on those and be able to pull it back and then just expose Quick. Yeah, I agree completely. The front of the net has to be dominated by the Oilers.
Rick, what are you thinking?
Just simplify the game, boys. We've played very well for the last 2.5 months. This is just another blip that happens. Simplify the game, go out and do what you can do. And, the game will take care of itself.
Another thing that I would say too is it's very, very clear to me that LA's game plan here, as it has been all season for that matter, is to shoot from the parking lot. They're going to throw everything they possibly can on net. And that's fine to an extent because a lot of those shots last night came from the outside. If that's the approach, which it seems like it will be, the Oilers need to do a better job of clearing out the garbage to make sure that those shots from distance or shots from the wall or wherever they're coming in from doesn't result in a second or third chance, which I thought happened too often last night. Clean some of that shit up. Cash in at the other side, get greasier in front of Quick. Again, I said it a bunch of times already. We're going to be fine. We'll be okay. Right?
Yes, sir. And I mean, this is part of the fun of playoffs is that you wake up in the morning and you're mad about the night before. The nice part is you have one off day to stew on it or let it stew. And then you're back at it the next day. Tomorrow's another game day. The sun's going to come up and the Oilers are going to play at 8:00 Mountain Standard Time or whatever.
Since we are going to 2 a week, we've got a little bit different, unless there's anything anybody else want to mention from last night's game.
I think that's everything. Oh, one of the big game changers for me is that I found out I can see Rick from my seats in his seats.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm glad you brought that up because you sent that picture in the group text.
It was you, Rick.
Yeah. That guy's got a white hoodie on. I wasn't wearing a hoodie. I was wearing my onesie.
Yeah.
I like how Tyler just doubled down. I was like, that was you, Rick. No, it was you. Don't you remember?
Have controversy. So this is what happened for you, the listening. Last night, Dan, what was it? Probably the second period or something like that.
Yep.
Tyler sends a picture like kitty corner cross the ice, corner to corner. And he's like, I think I see Rick. And I think he's yelling at people during the ice sweeping. And I was like, well, I've gone to a bunch of games with Rick, so that would sound correct. But now we have some controversy.
Those are my seats, though.
Yeah. Okay. So then that was definitely you.
Oh, so were
you wearing the big Oilers chain?
In that picture that you just sent, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
The one to the left there with the white hoodie is what I was looking at before. That was my buddy who was sitting with me.
So Tyler, walk us through it. What are you seeing as you're spying on Rick from?
Well, because I've always wondered where Rick sat at games, and then at one point I think
only you could ask him.
Rick. At one point I think you were. I know, but I looked over
his phone number.
Yeah, I was on the scoreboard once or twice, I believe.
Yeah. I looked over. It was during a TV timeout, and I think you were flipping off one of the refs. But you had that's
definitely
you had like
me.
both fingers out, and you're like, and that's what caught my attention.
Thumbs down.
And I was like, who would do that? And I'm like, wait, that's Rick. He would totally do that. And then I look closer, and I'm like, it is Rick. But you stand for a lot of the games.
Yeah, I've got a lot of energy. I don't like sitting down the whole damn time. And that's another great thing about the playoffs is people like they kind of accept it, and a lot of them are doing it too. And there's a couple of young guys ahead of me that were kind of high energy as well, so we got to feed off each other.
Rick just sent a picture of himself on the big screen, and that is a man that is rocking a 1 or 2 BPP. I'll tell you.
There was 1 or 2.
Oh, I had a question for the folks that went to the game last night. So there was a rumor at the watch party that third period is no longer the end of beer sales. Was that true?
I don't think I bought them.
What you're saying is you guys didn't make it to the third period interested in buying drinks.
I bought them the second intermission during the third period, though. I didn't leave my seats at all, so I don't know.
I've heard the rumor that they aren't going to turn it off until the end of the game now.
I was actually thinking that as I walked into the rink. I was like, man, they should really just Ford Hall should be the post-game spot. Like, just open it up, make that whole area licensed, and just keep the whole thing open. Like, if you want to party in Ford Hall till 2 a.m, let them go. I don't know if they do that, but they should. The big mistake I made last night is I was convinced to grab an additional beverage for the third period, because what if it goes to overtime? Like, what if they don't sell them? So I was like, all right, good deal. So I had one being saved, and then, the Oilers lose and I have another beer, and it's like, well, I got to down this as I walk out of the arena. And that was painful.
That's a sadness beer. That's a time of reflection.
Drown your sorrows.
Because I'm pretty sure that I also had a similar reflection beer last night. I did not do beats in the beat cast. I'm just like, I'm not fucking doing it in the playoffs. So I had myself a cocktail and I kind of sat in my feelings there for a second. And then next thing you know, I'm like, I need to turn my spirits around because I'm not going to let this sewer my day. So I find myself on TikTok for the next hour.
Watching that guy who runs on his hands.
Yeah, there's a weird guy on TikTok. I don't know if you guys have seen him, but he's a dude that walks around on his all fours all the time. And he's starting to get really jacked up top, but it really creeps me out how he's starting to walk around like a horse. And I love to send them to Tyler just because it's very creepy.
Makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it should. But let's get some XP,
Yeah.
All right. So we're not doing the normal format today because this is the bonus episode. We'll go back to the usual thing on Friday. So I didn't get any Ask the Idiots questions today. So we're just going to slide right on into the hot cold performers for our friends at Buster's Pizza. Tyler, if you got your buttons ready, we're going to start with our veggies. So we're going to stick specifically, boys, to game 1. We're going to stick to game 1, and we're going to start with our Buster's Pizza cold performers. But first, we go to busterspizzas.ca, find out a location near you. Right now, I'm looking at a $13.99 2-topper pizza, or 2 large pizzas and a 2-liter drink for $13.99. Hey, it's a pretty damn fine playoff deal, if you ask me. I encourage you over to busterspizzas.ca, find a location near you. All right. Gentlemen, who's going to take the obvious one for our Buster's Pizza cold performer of the night? Who wants it?
It's too easy.
You going to take it?
I'll just take it. Mike Smith, the gaff, 5 minutes left. You shot it up the middle. You had better options. I'm not going to dwell on it. Gord knows you've taken enough heat on social, so I'm just going to get that one out of the way so we get it off the board.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
It really fucking did escalate quickly, let me tell you, because he had it behind the net with options, and then all of a sudden he throws it up the middle. And I'm like, whoa, geez. And then he makes the diving save. Then a rebound pops over the crossbar, and it was all madness from there. So yes, it did escalate quickly. That was an excellent button, Tyler. You're up next. Your Buster's Pizza Cold Performer of the Evening.
I'm going to give it to Jesse Puljujarvi. I think you saw a lot of the forwards, specifically the ones with size, like a Zach Cassidy and even a Warren Fogle, really go and mix it up physically. And I think Jesse Puljujarvi was just on the perimeter too much. Maybe he's still trying to get back in the game after coming back from his illness. I think they should keep him with Connor McDavid and give him one more game there. I'm not saying bench him or anything crazy like that, but the Oilers needed more out of Jesse Puljujarvi, and he really didn't deliver last night. So Puljujarvi is my cold performer of the game.
I'm going to disagree with you. I think that Yamo should go up with Connor, because that trio, Kane, McDavid, Yamo, was absolutely firing when he was out with illness. So I'm surprised they got away with it, to be honest. I would consider putting him with Leon on the second line or sliding him down with Nuge on the third. That's just my thoughts. Dan, your Buster's Pizza Cold Performer of the Evening.
Well, mine's actually going to go to another game, but it actually affected this game for me. I was doing my little spiel for the first time in 4 years. I was hosting a playoff party, and I was very excited. And then the Leafs decided to start fighting on the screen, and then their broadcast in the middle of my speech, their broadcast like cuts to commercial, and I'm doing my speech, but also I had a commentary going about the broadcast. And so it just absolutely threw me off. So the broadcast of the Leafs game, deciding to take a commercial break in the middle of the first physicality of the 2022 playoffs, you get my cold performer of the week.
Why are you the way that you are? I hate so much about the things that you choose to be.
I wonder how Morgan Riley's face is feeling today, because Patty Maroon fed him a few biscuits right to the mush, you know?
He sure did. And then and speaking of which, I can't even get the footage. There's no footage available of Morgan Riley tagging Jan Ruda's forehead with a nice little punch there as well. So shout out to that broadcast crew for making my life a living hell at 1 a.m. last night.
Rick, your Buster's Pizza Cold Performer, the cold performer of game 1, I suppose.
You know what? It's like it's not that bad of a thing, but he didn't have a great game last night. -2. Nuge, we need more out of you, bud.
Yep,
that's all.
I'm upset.
He had some really good looks on net too, and he was trying to force a pass through. Like, there's one thing about Nuge is, yes, he's a great passer, and I said this on the BCast last night too, but he's also got a lethal wrist shot, and he hasn't been using it lately. It's like he doesn't have confidence in his shot right now, and God, I would love him to get going, because if that guy starts scoring in the playoffs, this city will love him forever, even more so than they already do. But we'll get there. Tomorrow's a new day. Maybe I'll bet on Nuge. Maybe he'll feel it in his spirit. Let's end off the podcast on a positive note. We're going to do our Buster's Pizza Hot Performers of the Night. Tyler, I'm going to start with you.
I'm going to give it to Kyler Yamamoto. I think he took that early penalty, and he was clearly frustrated by the call. And I kind of sat there and was like, oh boy, like, is Yamo maybe one of those guys? Like, is the moment going to be too big for him? Well, sure shit. What does he do to respond? He's an absolute buzzsaw on the forecheck. He's creating turnovers. He's going hard to the front of the net. He's not afraid to mix it up physically either. And then he scores a huge goal for this team, and he was fired up after it as well. So I loved seeing all of that. Kyler Yamamoto, you started the game cold, but you ended the game hot.
It's getting hot in here. So hot.
Nation Dan, your Buster's Pizza Hot Performer of the Evening.
Well, I wish I was in the building for it. I've only heard the tale since then about how great it was, but my hot performer of the week is going to go out to Ben for his ability to hype up this crowd to no end, and the Oilers for including him in that video. So Ben Stelter, you get my hot performer of the week.
I can't believe it.
Play La Bamba, baby.
I think that's a streak of like 4 or 5 weeks in a row now that he's been somebody's hot performer of the week.
Probably, yeah.
Understandably so.
Yes.
Understandably so. Rick, your Buster's Pizza Hot Performer of the Week.
It's simple. It's everybody. There's 18,000 some odd of them. The fans, that place was electric. It was loud. I could feel it. It was fun. I love every minute of that type of stuff. Can't say much more than that. The fans were definitely the hot performer last night.
Pour it on.
My Buster's Pizza Hot Performer of the Evening. You know what? I'm going to give it to the guy that maybe we haven't given any love to in a while. I'm going to say Zach Cassian. you came out and threw your body around last night. I was concerned about it in the sense that I thought he was going to kind of do a Yamamoto where he's like, he's so fucking jacked up that he goes out and gets a penalty or something, but that wasn't the case. He went out and got 6 hits, throwing his body around, absolutely leveled Byfield.
Yeah. Nope.
Byfield along the board. So you know what, Zach Kassian, we need more of that from you, bud. If you can chip in with a goal or two here or there, I would love that as well. But I thought he had a really good game 1. So Zach Kassian, good for you, pal.
I like this right here.
Although I will say, when he smoked Jordan Spence, that was a penalty.
I thought for sure, no, and I'm so glad you said that, because I thought for sure that was going to be one of those ones where he's going to get an interference penalty and then it scares him off from the physicality immediately, right? But yeah, you're 100% correct. We got away with one there, and I think we dodged a bullet because that can do that to Cassie.
Well, you guys that were at the game last night, what did you think of the officiating? Because to me, I think the Oilers kind of got lucky with a couple of calls, and then as those were happening, you knew the game management was going to swing the other way in one way or another.
Yeah, like the game management was out in full effect because you could kind of predict like, oh yeah, the Oilers are getting the next one here. And then CC takes the penalty, but then it got offset with the too many men call, which was great. I didn't think, the Oilers, you can't have a problem with the officiating last night. I don't think the LA Kings really would have too much of a problem with it. I thought they missed a couple of calls on both sides, and that's kind of that.
Todd McClellan was spazzing on the bench though.
Oh, really? Was he?
Oh, Todd. Yeah. Cause Leon had like a phantom one where he fell kind of on his own, but he got a trip call. So yeah, Todd McClellan was spazzing.
Todd, it's all good when you're the coach, but then you leave and now you're not happy with it. Weird.
My man though, he keeps his haircut tight, don't he?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I was thinking, Bag Milk, we should end off the show with some listener comments here, because I put out the 1 to 10 question, how concerned are you, out on both our Twitter and our Instagram.
Let's hear it.
Eric Sabrowski said he's in the 3 to 4 range, ? Yeah, it sucks to lose game 1, but the Oilers can definitely improve on their effort. As for the Kings, does anyone see them playing better than they did in game 1? Felt like everything went right for them. Dumb luck. Danger Suede said he's at a 2. Did we expect to sweep the series? Oilers came out kind of flat, fell behind 2-0, make the adjustments, move on. Electronic Jordan was higher. He was up at a 6. So was Surveyor Brett. Our boy Spiced Oil said he was at a 4. He said they need to make some adjustments to counter their lines and time on ice as well. And, he said after the beginning of the game, they played solid and worked LA hard. They just need to find more ways to beat Jonathan Quick. On the Instagram, Holt Tizard said he was at a 3. Mr. Sane said he's not that concerned. Boys will bounce back. Oilers in 5.
There you go. We've got some people thinking positive. We got some on the other end of the ledger, and we got those of us right in the middle. We'll see how it goes. But ultimately, let's wrap up the podcast looking ahead at game 2, Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Tyler Yaremchuk, your score prediction.
4-1 Oilers.
4-2 for me. Rick.
5-1.
Dan.
3-0.
I like it.
Oilers.
We are going to be taking a tie series back to Los Angeles. I'm feeling good about it. Relax, Oilers fans. Nobody said this was going to be easy. We're going to make 16 straight wins on the way to the cup. You got to have a couple of speed bumps now and then. We'll get there. Just hang in there. Or tuck and roll on your way off the bandwagon. Rick and I will have more leg room. Either way, I don't care.
Damn straight.
From all of us, for Dan, Rick, and Tyler, I'm Bag Milk. This is Oilers Nation Radio, episode 192. Thank you to DoorDash, Oodle Noodle, Cornerstone Insurance, and Buster's Pizza for making it all possible. And most of all, you for listening. We will talk to you guys on Friday.
Shout out Brock.
Thanks for listening to Oilers Nation Radio, delivered by DoorDash. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.